Well, hey, this is Richard Chancey with 24 to Double, and I am excited because I've got a rare treat for you today. I've got Pastor Mike Mutchler from Grandview Baptist Church in Beaver Creek, Oregon. That's right, Mike?
That's right.
Great. So here's the thing. If you've been around 24 to Double for the last few months, you may have heard me talk about Mike, and you may have heard me say the pie guy. And let me tell you what that means. Mike was actually in our Facebook ads for church training, and I said something about follow-up. And Mike said, well, we give away a pie. And I mean, it was like I got hit in the face with a pie. In fact, I told everybody that I know about that in the next couple of days, because the very next day, so that was at 2:00 on a Tuesday, 10 o'clock Wednesday morning, I have a pie on the front steps of my house, which I was completely blown away by, because Mike's as far away from me as he can be in the United States. He's in Oregon. I'm in Atlanta. And
That's right.
12 hours later, I've got a pie on my steps. And so I was kind of blown away by that. So I thought I'd take a few minutes and just talk about follow-up a little bit with Mike and his team. So, Mike, why don't you introduce us to the other two guys you have with us today?
Okay, we have Chris Vestal, who has been with our church for 20 years on staff. And then we have Steve Frost, who has been with us for a little over 8 years.
Super. Now, and what roles do you guys play at the church?
Okay, Chris, why don't you mention what you do?
So I'm in charge, my wife and I, of the music as well as care and follow-up. I teach an adult Sunday school class, and we work together, all of us do, on big events.
And he handles most of the hospital visitation as well.
Okay. All right, how about you,
So
Steve?
Been there for 8 years, and I take care of the Sunday school departments, our small groups, and then the youth pastor of the church as well.
So everybody's doing a whole lot. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yes.
The multi-hat roles of a church. That's awesome. So Mike, talk just a little bit about, let's go ahead and dive in, I guess. When somebody shows up to your church for the first time, talk about what happens after that. How do you guys view first-time attenders, and then what do you guys do in follow-up?
Okay. Now, Chris is in charge of that, so he might add in. But the first thing that will happen is, Chris, that afternoon, they'll get an email.
Right.
And then they'll get a letter sent out on Monday. And then Chris will coordinate with some laymen in our church who will take a pie to them, usually, Tuesday night?
Yes, Monday or Tuesday, Rich, we take that out. And then that layman that makes that visit and delivers the pie will communicate back with me how the visit went, or if maybe they weren't home, and that gives us an opportunity to know how to continue to follow up. Again, we send out the email to them Sunday afternoon and just continue through the week and responding to them, trying to get them back the next Sunday.
And then later we'll send an email with, as you suggested on Facebook, with a coupon for like $10 off from our church bookstore.
Okay, cool. So is that, so the email, so somebody comes to church for the first time, do they put their name on a card? Is there a place for them to go after the service to find out more? How are you gathering that information?
All have a place for information
Okay.
for first-time guests, but we have a reception area in the foyer where basically us three try to meet after we shake some hands, and there's other people greeting them as well. And there we have a $5 Starbucks card for them. We have different types of drinks and snacks and chips and stuff for them to take for their kids, their family and stuff. And then we just meet them and greet them right there and welcome them.
And is that happening before or after the service?
After the service.
Okay. And when did you start doing first of all, for the people that are watching this, I just want to say most people don't have a well-defined plan. And I say this all the time, a great plan poorly executed is not nearly as good as a poor plan well executed. So
Exactly.
So if you're watching this and you're thinking, wow, we really do need a strategy around that. Yes, you do. You need to sit down and you need to map it out, much like I'm doing. I'm writing a map at the bottom here. of what these guys are doing, and that's a great idea to start with a strategy. So to go back in time, Mike, and talk about when you guys kind of started to employ these tactics and what you've seen as a result of that.
Okay. Well, one of the things we're we're on the fringe of a metropolitan area. So it's fairly rural around our church, though we have hundreds of people come to our church. So when someone comes, we have to take advantage of every single visitor to the best of our ability. Mm-hmm. So we're always learning stuff like that. Now, Richard, many of the things that you've mentioned is what started the emails and a lot of that stuff. We the letters. We've always had a gift for them that Sunday, but it was only about maybe a year ago we started with the pies.
Oh yeah,
and that was another touch.
Whose idea was the pie? Did it come from somewhere else? Because nobody. It's hard to go. It's hard to go door to door now.
Yeah, I preached in a rural church in Midland, Texas, and they said if you fill out this card, we will have someone bring a homemade apple pie. Well, I thought in our case, a homemade pie, some people like, some people don't know, but Sherry's restaurant is well known in the Northwest. So I thought, hey, we can do that. So I got that idea from another pastor, and it's worked well for him.
So do you, which, I mean, this is another, I'm so glad I called you guys. So are you telling people if they fill this thing out, they'll get a pie?
No, we're telling them if they fill it out, we'll give them a Starbucks card.
Okay.
You're going to get a coffee card, and we've got some treats for you and some gifts for you, and we'd just like to meet you. So the pie is totally unknown to them.
Right. But but I love the idea of giving them of letting them know that, hey, if you give us your information, we're gonna reward you for that.
Yes.
That's a big deal. So how does the pie happen? Somebody actually, I mean, and I don't want to make too big a deal out of this for the people that are watching with the pie, but it's extraordinarily unordinary.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's what we have to do to reach new people now and to show them that we care, is to do the extraordinarily unordinary. It should be a book or something. Yeah. So
I learned that from another pastor. I saw him do it maybe about a year ago when I was preaching in Texas to a small church. They were running maybe about 80 or so. Mm-hmm. Now they're running about 125, so they keep growing. But they do that to every visitor. They have one lady who has the pie ministry, and she makes great homemade apple pies. And we just took it and said, we're going to buy those pies that are already encased and just present to them.
And so you get the information, they get the card. The next day, does somebody go and buy the pie the next day?
Yes.
Or do you have to go, or can you just call them up and say, send these people a pie? No, you want to hand deliver the pie.
No, we have it hand delivered. Right. Chris.
So I would go on Monday, Richard, and ever how many pies we need, I go purchase those. What's unique about that is the ladies at the restaurant, I talk to them about what we're doing, and it's for visitors for our church. So that's another touch as well, weekly. And so then I disperse those to church members. You say if it's a single lady that visited, I'll find a single lady in our church to make that appropriate visit, or a married couple. It depends on ages and status like that. Mm-hmm. And they will Monday or Tuesday evening deliver that pie. Basically that is it's pretty much, it's just a friendly thank you. We don't show up to start trying to tell them and encourage them why our church is so special or anything like that. It's more of a thank you for coming. If that visitor initiates more conversation during that visit, then I encourage them to stay longer. If they don't, we're just dropping off a pie and saying thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I live in Atlanta, and people don't people don't do that. They don't do visitation. And the funny thing is I grew up in a Baptist church in South Georgia, and we did visitation. We did it every Tuesday night, or most Tuesday nights. And I think I grew up with the mentality is like, does this really work? And my daughter was in my hometown with my mom one time, 3 years ago. Oh, my daughter's 15 now. she was old enough to know what was going on. She went into this guy's house with my mom, and my mom converted this guy. I mean, she led him to the Lord right there in front of my daughter, and I was like, okay, don't listen to anything else that I say. And this kid is he's a 21-year-old guy. He's a regular attender of their church. Now, doesn't look like anybody else in the church. And he comes to their church on a regular basis. So the bottom line is anything you can do to get your foot in the door. And I will say this too, people tend to gravitate towards environments where they're accepted. And nothing says you're accepted like a dude on the porch with a pie. You know?
That's right.
Otherwise, how do they know that you want them to come back? I mean, and I think we miss that a lot because we're a little bit afraid to maybe offend people. We miss out on opportunities to welcome people by doing that.
Well, we like that philosophy of trying to steward every guest God sends our way.
Yeah.
It's our job to be a good steward of that guest that God sent us.
Yeah, and Jerry says this a lot in our training and on our trainings and in the program, but you got to act like this is their last chance. Because
that's right.
Most people don't shop churches either. They come to a church because they got invited or it's close to their house. So if they don't come back to your church, they're not coming back. They're not going to church. And I think when you kind of understand the kind of weight of that and the severity of making sure that you do have a plan that you're executing on going forward. Hey, so let me go sideways a little bit. That was great, and I think people will really benefit from hearing that. And what I want guys to take away from this, men and women that are listening to this, is it doesn't have to be complex. It can be really simple. You just got to execute well. You got to know who's going to do what and when they're going to do it, and it's got to happen fast because that rewarding their behavior for showing up is what's going to get them to repeat that behavior. Okay, so let's take a left-hand turn real quick. You guys have been in this 24to Double process for a few months. I got 2 questions for you.
Sure.
What have you learned so far, and what have you loved, and what have you learned? So was there something that you said, oh, that's a new idea that we really loved, and is there something, has there been an aha moment from it yet?
A whole bunch of it has been things we've learned. And every module has been an aha moment, at least in some part of it. For instance, the whole idea of your first impressions team, treating everyone that comes on property as though they're the prodigal son just coming home. That whole idea of just rushing to them and loving on them right when they come in with their car. And so we've doubled and then the whole idea is you don't have enough parking lot attendants to be functional. You have enough that people say, wow. And so we've doubled up that. We've doubled up our greeters. We're trying to double up everything. The spiritual gift test, that was a big one. So we had one Sunday morning, I preached on it, and we had everyone fill out a spiritual gift test. And then we put them all in the different areas. And then we got their emails. We have a different staff member in charge of every one of those areas. They send out a letter to everyone who gift tested in those areas. And they're looking to plug in anyone in those areas. So that was a big plus. I really like Jerry's emphasis on the spiritual part of it, the prayer. You see that because now for instance, that 21 day to prayer. And if you do that, it doesn't care what you do, God's going to bless your church, right? And so it wasn't a gimmick. It wasn't like just do this and that's going to help you grow here. It was a spiritual approach to having the best church you could be. And then I love the fact that 24to Double wasn't trying to make you like maybe a contemporary church or this kind of church or that kind of church. We're a more traditional church, but it fits in every genre of church, every type of church. It fits in well because you're just trying to do the very best you can as a church to love on people and show the love of Christ.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think, I think you'd be right on if you said on an average Sunday, the mass of people that are in church are in more traditional churches. That's not the message that's put out to the world right now, but the fact of the matter is.
Because in our area, we seem like we're sometimes the only ones, but I think that's true.
Yeah. So when you look forward, when you look at the next year or the next 2 years, what's your what's your vision for the next 2 years, or are you excited about the next 2 years, Mike? Where are you at in this process?
Yes, well, like this year, we want to add 200 people to our church, so that's our aggressive goals to do that. And then next year we'll go for 3 or 4.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
awesome.
that's our goal. And we're aggressively working up every area. We've set goals for every group. We're looking to add 5 new adult Sunday school classes, 20 additional teachers to our children's ministries classes, enlarge our church, enlarge our, every single area of ministry we have now, we're looking to enlarge. We have an outreach ministry. We're looking for 50 people to be in part of that. In fact, tonight we have that, and we're looking for 50 brand new people to be a part of it.
That's incredible. Well, hey, I really do appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. I'm praying for you guys. In fact, I'm going to pray for you guys before we stop this call. But I'm going to pray specifically for those 200 people that you're trying to reach. You guys okay with that?
Yes, we are. And I want to say that 24toDouble has been a great, great help to us and give us a great vision to do much more for our church.
Super.
And for the cause of Christ.
Let me pray for you. Thank you so much, Mike. Lord, thank you for these 3 gentlemen, what they're doing, that they are, God, they're on a wall, and they will not come down until they reach those 200 people. And I just pray that you pry the fingers loose of those 200 people from whatever it is that they do on Sunday morning and the rest of the week that keeps them far from you, Lord. And I pray that you just give them incredible influence in their community, Lord, with the people that are the people that you've called them to reach, Lord, and that those people would take the message of Jesus not just back into their home, but into every part of their lives. And I just pray for these guys and their families and the struggle, the war that comes against you when you try to rise up and do something like this, Lord, and have a big vision. And I just pray that you'd give them wisdom, courage, and knowledge to move forward. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Richard.
I know we've only known each other a couple minutes. I love you guys. I love what you're doing. Okay, so keep it up. And if it crosses your mind to send me another pie, I will not be mad with you.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, God bless.